On this episode of Corona Bloody Virus Extraordinary Episodes, I have D3. She has her own style of rap poetry. She is a spoken word artist. She's done so many amazing things. I can't wait for you to have a listen to her. We just had a real good laugh chatting to each other. See what you think. Welcome to another Corona Bloody Virus Extraordinary episode. And this week, D3 has come along to speak to me. Hello, D3.
Hello.
And you are... Say again.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I've been really looking forward to having you. I've been trying to get you on for some time, but we've had all sorts of things go back and forth. So yeah, I'm glad that you're finally here. So D3, you do all sorts of different things. You are a rapper, but you categorise it as having your own style of poetry, rap poetry. Is that right?
Yeah, I actually don't call myself a rapper. I call myself a spoken word artist.
Oh, okay.
It's what I like to call repoetry. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is rapping is and hip hop and things is a genre that most you would most connect it to.
Yeah.
But I feel like the lyrical content and things like that is more of a storytelling.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, that's why I put the poetry bit in there. I think there is a difference between the two.
Brilliant, that's great. So, really, when you're doing your songs, you're really telling a story more than you'd say that rap and hip hop naturally does.
Obviously, rap and hip hop do. They also, express a feeling or some kind of oppression, whereas. I'm not even always telling a story about myself, so
yeah,
or it could be just like an opinion, or just it's just really anything. It's kind of where I come from. But I mean, rappers tend to especially like mainstream or like what I would call pop rap is more like to fill a dance floor kind of.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas some of my music you wouldn't necessarily dance to. It's more of a pay attention to just this piece of knowledge that is being shared with you at the moment.
Right, yeah, that's a good way of describing it. And so have you always been into music?
Yeah, I've always been into writing, but when I was younger, there wasn't any kind of workshops or any kind of thing for me to get support from, for me to help me grow, or even kind of point me in the right direction of where somebody like me could go.
Yeah.
And it was when I was actually pregnant with my third child, I decided to go learn how to make music for the lyrics that I was writing.
Excellent.
In the Host Media Centre in Chapeltown to do an MMPC, which is a modern music production course.
Wow.
How to make music. That was during my third pregnancy, so I did have some time away from making music and lyric writing whilst having my first two children. And yeah, with my third, I really wanted to get back into it, and I spent that time doing a bit of training, and then one thing led to another, and I ended up meeting Paulette Morris and Khadija Ibrahim, who was just about ready to set up a writing workshop for kids. I think it started off at 13 to 17-year-olds, and asked me to help get involved and help teach performance techniques. So I ended up mentoring the leading authors for 12 years after that.
Wow.
And we would take groups of kids from our group that we used to meet on a Tuesday at the Host Media Centre to America to go compete in the Breakthrough Voices poetry slams.
Gosh, well, that was amazing.
It was amazing, but I mean, everything about the whole group was amazing. But I mean, one of the greatest things was the amount of kids that started knocking on the door and wanting to come in. And like I said, it started off as 13 to 19-year-olds, and younger kids kept coming to the door and saying, "We want to join. We want." To the point where I then held a separate class in a different room to the Legion authors. We called them the You Get Me crew.
Oh.
13-year-olds to do a similar writing workshop, but obviously at a different stage, because these kids wanted to come and but we weren't able to like put them forward to compete for the American teams until they were of the age of, you know, between 13 and 17. So yeah, I mean, we did that for a long time. I grew a lot just working with these kids. You can get a lot from your elders, but you can get a lot from the younger generation, and keeping connected to the younger generation and seeing what they think about and how they feel about things that are going on in life. It was amazing. But yeah, so I was doing that with them till about 2012, 13, I think. And I joined a jungle band called Hayashi.
Yeah.
And in actual fact, I just put a note on my. It was a post on my Facebook saying looking to collaborate. You know, I like collaborating. I think it fuses two minds, which makes, you know, new creation.
Yeah.
And I got a message back from a friend of mine, and he was like, "Oh, come and jam with my jungle band." And so I went to his rehearsal with him on a Wednesday, and they were like, "Great, we need you for this gig on Saturday."
Wow, that's quick.
Do you reckon you can do this gig? And what it was is they had a rapper that was in the band previously who had just left, and they had certain songs that they had on their set list, and this rapper did certain sections in it. So they were like, "Oh, can you just, you know, do something in the sections that he had, and so we can do this gig?" So I was like, "Yeah," you know, and I had like a 10-track set list to learn.
Gosh.
Even though I was doing my own lyrics, I didn't know exactly where in the set my section was.
Yeah, but that was difficult.
Yeah, so I've gone out, and this was we did this. It was in a club called The Lamp in Hull, and I'm on stage, and there's other vocalists and that, and the music's playing, and I'm kind of dancing around on stage. It is jungle, like, it's all right, and I'm just turning around just so I can see the drummer, and I'm going like, "Here." You know, and he's going, "No, it's not here," like in the next 4 bars. You don't know where I come in, so I'm kind of turning around, and, you know, he's kind of giving me a wink or a nod to let me know, and then as soon as, you know, it's time to go, it's da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and all my stuff come out. Do you know what I mean? But I didn't know where my sections were, and that's how I first started in the band, and they were like, "Do you know what, if you want in this band, you're in." Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
and,
brilliant.
I've been in the jungle band ever since, even though we haven't done anything in quite a number of years now, I will admit. But it's in 2015 I enrolled in uni, you see.
Ah, right. What did you do there?
Yeah, I studied entertainment management at Leeds Beckett.
Oh, and how did you find the course? Did you find it really helpful?
It was amazing, the course. It was very fast, and because obviously I hadn't been in school for a good 20 years, so it was a you know, reality shock just going back to education of that calibre.
Yeah, and obviously you've got your 3 children to look after at this point as well.
And I had my 3 children. My youngest, they weren't that young. My youngest had just started high school. I actually had already planned years ago that when my youngest goes to high school, I'm going to go to uni. Oh. So it got to that time, and he went to high school. And so I thought, well, you know, by the time my kids are out of school, I wanted to kind of be a better platform, having brought up my children.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went and got my head down for 3 years, and you really cannot do anything else when you're in uni, can you?
No, you can't.
You can't. You can't. Uni gobbles you up.
It certainly does, yeah.
But I mean, I enjoyed it. It was very fast paced. I had to keep up. I mean, there were some nights that, you know, my kids would go to bed and I was on the corner of the sofa or at my desk, and they'd get up for school in the morning and I was at the corner of the sofa or at my desk, still there. But you know, it was a great experience, and it, you know, opened my mind in so many ways. Certain things that you don't know what you're not thinking about, do you?
No, you don't. You're exactly right.
About them, so that was an amazing experience.
Yeah. So Donetta, do you think that your time at university, do you think that's helped you when you're sort of teaching other younger kids, you know, about performing and entertaining?
I think I would attribute that to working with the Leeds Young Authors. It's actually hands-on working with kids.
Yeah.
That you kind of get experience, because obviously kids are from all different backgrounds, they've got all different personalities, they've all got different attitudes, they've all got different issues and problems in life.
Yeah.
You have to be able to deal with each one as an individual, and you know, one thing that works for one wouldn't work for another. So that's the kind of thing that you can't really get from textbooks. And I suppose I did things not the wrong way around, but the opposite way around then, because I was working a lot in the entertainment. I did my radio presenting. I was working in festivals. I was working with the leading authors and taking them to America to go to compete in the Brave New Voices. I was making music myself. And this was all before I went to uni, so it was kind of to wrap up the knowledge, I think.
Yeah, sort of top it off.
Yeah, to top it off. Also, there were certain like jobs, or even like when I wanted to do like my own projects, you know, applying for funding and things like that. You know, and they ask you about your education. If you don't have a degree on there, you are viewed like as a different, you know, person, or a higher risk, I think.
Right.
So I think it just gives me a bit more of a professional stamp.
Yeah, it gives you a bit of an edge. So you talked about your radio presenting. Where did you do that? When was that?
Oh, I did radio presenting, 2006. That was at Live Force FM. So that started at Host Media Centre as well. And it was the guy that was running the radio show, which I was, the radio production course, which I was not on.
Yeah.
Was looking for presenters. They were setting up, as part of their, you know, course, they set up a radio station, and they were looking for somebody to do the breakfast show.
Yeah.
And the words that I actually got told is, are you going to do the breakfast show? Because, well, you're the only person that can talk randomly about anything for ages.
Perfect.
Because the breakfast show was more of a personality show, rather than, even though I did play songs, rather than a DJ or a genre. I just played random things, whatever I felt like at the given time. Do you know what I mean? But I did, you know, I chatted, and you know, I held competitions, and I had phone-ins, and you know, and I can talk about random things. I mean, I did have a section on my show called Knowledge You Don't Need to Know. In which I taught people things that they didn't really need to know, but it was knowledge.
You never know when you might need random knowledge.
Well, this is the thing. So, because we had quite a lot of university students as listeners, you know, they really took to that section of the show. And there was one bit where I told people, and I'm vague about the numbers now, but it's, you know, you're born with something like 105 bones, but by the time you're a fully grown adult, you've got something like 96. Now, you know, to everybody that might be listening to this podcast, if them figures are wrong, I did say I can't remember the actual numbers, but you definitely have less bones as an adult than you do when you're born. So, you know, we were like, where's the missing bones?
That's a brilliant one.
University students were like, oh my God, we're going to find the missing bones. So people started, you know, texting in. So I got a lot of like feedback for my show. People started texting in saying, well, your skull is in 4 pieces when you're born, you know, so you've got the plates in your head, so you know what I mean. But obviously, when you're a fully grown adult, your skull forms into one.
That might count for some of it.
Yeah, so that counted for some of it, and so people kept putting bits in and more, and then somebody gets involved now and says, actually, you see, you don't have kneecaps when you're a kid. You get you grow them as about age 7 or something like that. So then we lost a couple of bones again. So we had to, you know, go back to the drawing board. So yeah, so there you go. I can talk about random things for a long time. And so that's how I got the job. But from there, I was actually headhunted by the BBC, and I started doing some freelance work for them.
Oh, excellent!
And I actually did my my radio presenting. I got my radio presenting awards from the BBC Academy.
That's amazing.
Following on from that.
So that was quite an accolade, getting your getting that award from the BBC for doing your radio presenting. Did you go on and do any further presenting after that?
Yeah, I used to host a show on East Leeds FM
Oh, brilliant.
ELFM. Pardon?
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and it was actually because I got to put my own stamp on it. They said you can have this show. What do you want to do with it? And so I had a blank canvas, and I actually I did 2 shows a week. One was a poetry show. See, I like to wrap everything up together, you see. One was a poetry show where I had my Legion authors come in and do poetry on my show.
Yeah.
Just a couple of them at a time. And then my other show, I did an unsigned talent show, unsigned act show.
Oh, brilliant.
Because obviously, you turn on the radio, all you get is all these people that are already established. That's why they're on the radio. Mm-hmm. It's the people that are not established that want to get on there. So I thought that's what I'm going to do with my show. So I went around a lot of my friends and other people that are, just new in the industry. And I'm like, get me some radio edits and I'll play you.
Excellent. And did you manage to find quite a few new artists that way then?
Yeah, I definitely did. And, we have a lot of talent here. Yeah, we don't get enough exposure. So, I mean, it was a brilliant platform. And I actually don't think I've not, seen anything like it since. I know we have the BBC introducing, but I just mean somewhere where you can just make a song, make sure that radio station gets it for that particular show. And, so long as, it's radio edited and there's no obscenities and things like that, you can play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I always include a track at the end of every podcast, but I mean, I'm only getting out 2 a week. So if anybody's listening and they want to have a track on the end of the podcast, or anybody that I'd be happy to put them on. I think it's just another great way to shout about Leeds, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
I saw you on TV not so long ago, just a couple of nights ago, I believe, D3.
Me?
Yes, I saw you on Look North. What were you doing on Look North?
Well, I was showing my support and solidarity for, George Floyd and his family, and everybody else, me included, who have had to deal with any kind of racism at any point in our lives.
Yeah, you're right. And you had a great big placard up.
Oh yeah, well, I actually made that.
Did you?
Because I was going to make something. Obviously, I'm in isolation. I'm a bit more, creative when it comes to things like that now. But I actually had this piece of a board of wood, at the side of my house. So I thought, because I was going to get some cardboard. The weather's a bit rubbish, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So I thought, no, do you know what? And so I painted this. It's actually like that bit of wood that you get for the back of your wardrobe. Wardrobe.
Yeah.
So I painted that. And then I painted that side. Well, actually, I thought I was going to do it with felt tips, but my felt tips was absolutely rubbish. All my felt tips were dried out, so I had to get the paint out. So now I'm sat on the kitchen floor, painting these words into the board. But I really had a very nice therapeutic time. But my street is not very, let's say, social, communal. Mm-hmm. So I knew, and I have a big hedge at the front of my house. So if I was to take a knee on my doorstep, nobody.
So basically, if you took a knee in your garden because of your high hedge, no one would be able to see the gesture you were making anyway.
No, and I was actually a little bit disheartened about that because I mean, I understand that there's COVID out there and we all have to stay safe, but yeah, everybody taking a knee. How who was that going to impact on their own doorsteps, and how was it going to impact? Nobody wasn't going to go around and like look at everybody's doorstep kind of thing.
Yeah.
So because I suppose she's like a mother-in-law to me. She is very active for Stand Up to Racism protests and with them a lot, and was doing the knee in her street, which is in Showbrooks, one of the Showbrooks. Mm-hmm. So I went down there to we stand with the rest of the street and show solidarity. And it was Look North and Calendar.
Oh, you were on both.
I went on both, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like my sign. My sign, and I thought, you see, this is what you get when you paint stuff.
when you do stuff handmade at home.
Yeah. And my sign said, "This fight is not black and white. Every colour must unite."
Yeah, I agree with the sentiments to that.
Yeah, so I really wanted to, have my piece heard. But yeah, the Atist book spoke to me as well. So
yeah, because I wanted to hear what you said, and it was great. So you've been at home, and how have you been finding it during lockdown as a sort of creative person, and you're usually getting out and about? How have you found it all?
well, it's about organising your mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously you can tell by the things that I've done. I don't tend to do the same thing for very long.
No.
And there's always some kind of a different day every day for me. But as of the 7th of March, which is the week before the schools officially got closed, I shut down my house then because I suffer from MS.
Right. Yeah.
Once we kind of ingested the information that this thing is here and it's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I thought to myself, with me having multiple sclerosis, my immune system attacks me. So because my son caught 4 public buses a day just to get to school, it was something that I was a little bit wary about. So,
of course.
I spoke to school about it, and they were really helpful. They were very supportive, and they said, look, we understand. We will make sure that Keldon gets, some work and some information and things that he needs, because he was due to be doing his exams this summer.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, so they were pretty good, and that was the week that they was actually doing mocks in school.
Mm-hmm.
He was very happy about not being able to go. I said, you know what, mocks, life and death, there's no real contest.
Yeah.
And he was doing some online past papers and things like that. And then one of his teachers turned up at the door and, gave him a file. So he had lots of work to keep going with.
Oh, that's great.
So that was good. And then the following week, all the schools officially shut anyway. So I've been on lockdown for over 3 months now.
Gosh, that's a long time.
I've gone through different stages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've gone through different stages. I've been creative. I've done the why bother with anything pajamas. I've done the drinking. And then I went back to creative, and then I've got a load of jewellery making stuff, and I started making jewellery. And a
little bit of everything.
And then I was doing some kind of home recording. I've done some online gigs. I've done an online festival.
Excellent.
And so I had to learn how to do some technical stuff at home before I actually could get to the point to do recording to send my stuff off.
Yeah.
That was good. I wrote a song called Contradictory Information about the whole corona issue.
That sounds like the perfect title to sum it up, to be honest.
Yeah, contradictory information. Yeah. And I recorded that, and I put the video out, and a guy got in touch with me that are doing a poetry book called the Pandemic Poetry Anthology.
Oh,
and
excellent.
They said we would like that piece to go into our book.
Oh, that's amazing.
Some more details. So now that's going up for publication, them lyrics there that I wrote. And I've actually been approached and asked to write, a 3,000-word chapter on the other issues that's going on in the world today with Black Lives Matter.
That's fantastic. So you've really managed to get quite a lot of productive stuff out of this whole time that you've been locked down.
Yeah, I did a lot of it in pyjamas, though. I'm not a superwoman or anything. I'm just a normal human being. Even now, I'm just wandering around in my bedroom.
Well, that's all perfect. So,
that's how we creatives do. Do you know what I mean? And another thing is, I've wanted for a long time just to be left alone, to be able to sit down and do my own creation. But then you have to kind of train your brain to get with that.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I've done quite well with that.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I've gone through phases. I've gone through all sorts of different phases. I've tried all sorts of different crafts that, I'm quite rubbish at, but I'm giving it a go, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, that's good.
Have you lived in Leeds your whole life, D3?
Yes, I have.
Well, I've got 3 special questions to ask you that we ask every single guest. The first one being, what would you say is great about the city of Leeds?
Leeds is a fantastic city. I'm going to sound biased now, aren't I? Because
I think we're all biased when we come on this podcast.
It's a very, very, very friendly city.
It really is, I think.
You can't come to Leeds and leave Leeds and think, oh, what a grumpy place that was. I mean, the weather's not always fantastic. We live in England and stuff, but the people are always sunny.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree.
It's a great diverse city. So it represents all the different, cultures of the world, really.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I like about Leeds is a good set out.
Yeah.
Good layout, Leeds.
It is.
You go to town, when you're in town, don't you?
Yeah.
And then you leave town, it's gone. Do you know, like if you was in London, and I'm not dogging London, don't get it twisted, but everywhere's town, innit?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Town in London. I don't know when I'm out of town in London.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then I've been to other cities, and I don't know, it just doesn't seem. Maybe it's because I know Leeds like the back of my hand. It seems wrong for the set out.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, because some cities you go to, and it takes such a long time to get from one side to the other. Whereas I think the centre of Leeds is quite sort of compact, and even walking, you can get from one side to the other. Yeah. And what would you say is something that is not so great about the city of Leeds?
We do not get the respect we deserve.
As in from?
Well, just as a city. But I mean, coming from my point of view as an artist, we don't get the spotlight. It's always London. London's the big dog, isn't it? And they never really want to talk about 4 hours up the motorway, Leeds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things going on here, and because of that, see, when it comes to divvying up money for the arts and things like that, do you know what I mean? We'll get less than certain southern cities for things like that because we're not deemed as big, which is not fair, really. I mean, I don't think they've spent enough time here to be able to come to that conclusion. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And we do really need to get more spotlight. And in fact, going back to my my time spent with the Leeds Young Authors, the Brave New Voices festival that goes on in America was all the states, all the best of all the states in America get together and compete. Now it's an international competition. And the reason why it became became an international competition is because Leeds, England went. London do now go, but London didn't get their foot through the door. It was Leeds.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Getting it out there.
I'll move on from that.
And if somebody had lived in Leeds for a long time, would you be able to tell them about something that you think is a hidden gem that they may never have heard about?
I probably would have had more to say when I was younger. As you get older, you don't tend to be in as much nightlife as you were as a spring chicken.
Yeah.
I will mention Hedgerow House.
Yeah.
Because Hedgerow House is a little bit off the beaten track, and you can find it if you Google it and things like that. But you may very well walk past the little snicket on the street where there's a little cobbled like a little back street, and at the back of there is a bar or an event space. It's a bar, event space, a club, it's many things, and it's on like 4 floors called Hedgerow House, and I love it. I've actually performed in there a few times, and that's not why I'm giving it all of its props. But there's a bar on the bottom floor. There's a bar on the next floor, which is also an event space. And they have unsigned and signed acts in there. But then you can go up again to like the clubs area.
Yeah.
And I think they do bits of food and that up there, and then you can go out onto the roof garden terrace.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I've been on there. It's amazing.
You walk down that little back street and you think, what we're doing down here, this dingy little place, but there's actually a right gem at the back of there.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Yeah, it's a great place. I've not eaten there yet, but I've heard that it's really good to eat.
I haven't eaten there, but they do food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I'm
always
into the
ask.
bar.
I always ask every, I always put a track by a Leeds-based artist or musician on the end, and obviously because you are a musician yourself, the track this week is by you, and it's called Nutter. It's a banging track.
Yay.
Can you tell us a little bit about sort of what the inspiration is behind it?
So this was one of the first. I think it's the first thing that I wrote after leaving uni, and I did actually. It took me a while to kind of get out of my academic essay head.
Yeah.
To be able to get back to my creative, because everything was all, bibliography this and reference that. Do you know what I mean? And it took me a while, and I did think that I was going a bit crazy at the time. But sometimes, and I will say this as well as a writer, sometimes I think you can overthink a topic, what to write about.
Yeah. And
so I felt like I was suffering from overthinking. So I thought, well, just forget all of that. And then with that particular track there, I actually just played the track, and the melody of the chorus, I was just it was on the background, and I was making some dinner, and then I just started singing that, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to put that because that's what he wanted me to say. and then I wrote the lyrics as basically coming back onto the scene after uni, and I'm a little bit of a nutter. Off the wall.
It's the best place to be.
I'm not crazy, you understand. I'm just a nutter.
Of course. And what are you going to be doing with the rest of your evening?
Well, I've had some more beads delivered in the post for my jewellery.
Some more jewellery making.
I've been making some NHS range.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I wanted to show some support for the NHS workers, even though I am trapped in my own house. So I made some jewellery using the NHS colours, and I got some fantastic rainbow beads.
Oh, lovely.
And I've also got some nice little rainbow gems for my NHS range, and in hope to sell them and put proceeds, some of the proceeds to raise money, for the NHS workers and that, because they've been doing a fantastic job. They've been out there fighting that war, and I've just had a delivery of lots of letters. So I'm gonna do my spoken word range.
Oh, that's a good idea.
But to start that off, I'm gonna do some Black Lives Matter earrings.
Oh, fantastic! And can people see those on your website?
Not on my website. I'm going to make a Facebook page, because this is just something that has started up in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then I ordered some stuff, and then I've waited about 5 weeks for these things to turn up in the post. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to make a Facebook page for them. But no, my website is mainly for my music and the writing workshops that I do, as well as event management.
Yeah. Well, you've certainly got a lot going on, D3.
I know. I need to go back to work. Somebody give me a job.
Thanks so much for coming along and talking to me. I'll put links in the podcast notes to everything that you've done.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying it would be great if you could join my group, Facebook, D3 Creations.
Yeah.
Follow my Instagram at D3 Creations. Check out my SoundCloud, D3 Creations, and please leave some comments.
Yeah, it's always nice to get feedback, isn't it?
Even if it's not good, I mean, just tell me anything. I want to hear something. Give me some, something to work from, and I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody will. Thanks so much,
and thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm really looking forward to at some point catching up with you in real life when we're finally all free to do so.
Fantastic! I can't wait.
See you later. Bye bye. D3 is certainly an inspirational person, and I really, really enjoyed talking to her. Obviously, this track is by her, and it's called Nutter. I really, really like it. It's got a really good energy to it. This week's podcast is going to be edited by Gethin Davies, who got in touch and asked if he could gain some experience. And of course he can. Generally, it's been John Boocock, before that Richard without a hat on, who's doing the editing. So I think probably it's about time that I gave John a little bit of a break and shared the work out. So see what you think.
Looks like you've all be waiting patiently for me to come back. Now I put down the book, screwed up, ready to attack. I've been creating insatiably, running round the track. I'm a miracle, a lyrical maniac, attracting every other crazy in the zodiac. It's like they know I'm a lunatic enthusiast. Maybe it's just my aura, I can't disguise the fact. I'll always be far from normal, but thank God for that.
I'm a nutter, but you're a nutter, and they're all nutters too. So that don't matter, cause we're together and there's more of us than you. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Except there's more of us than you.
Can't stand social conditions wanting me to conform. Stifle my inhibitions, my connections are torn. I refuse to take commands, been like this since I was born. So understand when I'm calm, it's just the eye of the storm. I don't suffer from insanity, I enjoy every minute. I'm not controlled by such vanity, I'm content with my image. I'm not affected by gravity, I float round this planet, residing in my own world. I love this bubble, goddammit.
I'm a nutter, but you're a nutter, and they're all nutters too. So that don't matter, cause we're together and there's more of us than you. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Except there's more of us than you.
I saw some youth returning home from programming one day, regimented learning, burning their identities. Uniformed, unification, I'm an entity. So if they need some inspiration, better mention me. Cause trust me, I'm the definition of a prodigy. According to my doctors in neurology, disconnected living, tripping without LSD. It seems that I'm the new narcotic, just get high on me.
Cause I'm a nutter and you're a nutter, and they're all nutters too. So that don't matter, cause we're together and there's more of us than you. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Except there's more of us than you. But you're a nutter, and they're all nutters too. So that don't matter, cause we're together and there's more of us than you. Na 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 na